In this video, we're gonna be talking about what's going on in the NFT market, some hot NFT drops coming up, and also some major updates on some of our favorite projects. And by the way, make sure to follow me at Patrick Dang for the latest alpha in real time. First of all, we're gonna start with the sentiment of what's going on in the crypto markets, because the crypto markets directly affect the NFT market. So going on coin market cap right here, we see Ethereum pumping all the way to $3,400, and Bitcoin is, getting close to $50,000. And we see all these altcoins pumping up, right? Solana 27% in the last 7 days, Avalanche 18%, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And even as you get down to the smaller random one, Zilliqua, right? ZIL, up 300%. So obviously altcoins and meme coins and all these coins are pumping up. And what will probably happen is that people are gonna take the profits from their ETH, from their Bitcoin, from their meme coin gambles, and they're gonna roll it into NFTs most likely, because NFTs in some projects are kind of bleeding out. Some projects are still going up, some projects are bleeding out. Like we've seen Cool Cats, the volume has been decreasing, Cyberkongz decreasing. We'll talk all about that in a bit, but that's pretty much the sentiment now. So if you're trying to buy blue chips, it would be a pretty decent opportunity to get in on some great projects. Now, before we talk about the blue chips, I want to talk about an upcoming mint that we have over here, and it's a project called Mindblowon Universe. I believe they are directly associated with Carrefour. I don't know if they, Carrefour owns a percentage of them, but I definitely do know that some of the people who are working or worked on Carrefour are working with Mindblowon directly. So that's really a positive thing, because you got a good project working on another project, and somehow they're all connected. How they are connected, I do not know the details, but I just want to share that with you. Now, Mindblowon, basically it's like an intellectual property based in Jakarta. So essentially there's this guy who makes these comics, right? And so they're all going to be in Indonesian. Obviously I can't read it, but they have a lot of followers, almost 1 million, right? 850K. And it seems like people are really liking their comics. They also have an English channel, quick to look at one, right? It's like comedy. I think, personally, I did read a couple of these comics, and some of them are funny, some of them I don't really get. I mean, I'm American, right? So I think the comedy style probably hits really hard with the Jakarta audience, and it doesn't translate as well, but it does translate into the English language though. Seems like this guy Lick over here is the one that is making the comics, and I'm not sure exactly how big his team is, or how many people are involved in this project. It's not very clear, because there's no website quite yet. What I can say is that they're pretty popular in Jakarta. Okay, so it says over here that the advisors who are advising Mindblowon is going to be Clerk, along with Project Gojira. I think Clerk and Evantan were the advisors for Carrefour and really helped shape Carrefour to what it is. So it's really good to see that these guys are also advising this project as well, and most likely that they're going to check all the boxes, do all the right things when it comes to generating the hype on Twitter, and doing the whitelist and minting out and making sure everything is smooth. So I really do appreciate that, and it checks all the boxes in that situation. So I did a little digging to understand, what is Mindblowon, what are they all about? And they have this little roadmap. Oh, it's not really a roadmap. It's more like their history, right? So basically this company, or this guy's been drawing comics since 2015, and they had a lot of success in the Jakarta, social media scene. They even created a YouTube channel, which has almost 300,000 subs. Work with a lot of brands, which is great because they're very brand friendly and they can generate revenue with that attention. They have a little TV stint over here, and now they're moving into Web3. So, it's just a natural play, right? If you're already doing this comic stuff, you're making people laugh, you're creating good content that, hundreds of thousands of people like, why not create an ownership opportunity for other people to own a piece of your NFT? Now, with that all said, I don't really know what the NFT is going to look like. I'm not sure if they're going to use this character and do a PFP and have that character be in, dress up in different styles, or if the NFT is going to be a comic, right? Not really sure. I'm not in their Discord right now, so I don't have a lot of information to work with. I can only go off of what they put on their Twitter for the most part. So if they're not communicating it to the average person, then they're not communicating it to me. But overall, I think if you do like the comic, you like the art, I think that they will carve out their own niche. They already have, and I think they're just serving that niche in the NFT space, and they're not really competing with anyone, because who else are they competing with who's doing comics? I can't name of any NFT comics, right? They got the right advisors, they got the right people doing the tech to help them out. So I think it's a pretty good one. And just to be clear, they gave me some whitelist opportunities for myself, as well as for our community. So if you want to enter a raffle to get whitelisted, make sure to follow me on Twitter, retweet and follow, directions of winning the whitelist, and then, best of luck. And they also did not pay me in any way to say certain things about them. All the things that I'm saying are my honest, true, personal opinions. Okay, next project we're gonna talk about is Cyberkongz. As you know, if you've been watching my channel, I do hold a lot of Cyberkongz babies and VX, and we see the price is dropping quite a bit. So if anyone bought Cyberkongz because of me or whatever, let me go ahead and explain to you what I feel is going on. So babies right now are 5.35. VX is 1 Ethereum, which I'm actually a little surprised. So what basically happened is that when the play to collect game was announced, it was extremely hyped. Everyone's oh, Cyberkongz is blue chip. This play to earn game is gonna change the game. In some ways, they did innovate on like polygon technology and like creating this like type of idle game. But I think that there was so much hype for it, but then the game itself wasn't like that fun for the regular person. And I think that's why the price is kind of going down. So if you have like a VX, you can play the game. You kind of just like send your VX on a mission, they get some Kongium, and then that's gonna be worth something, and then you can turn it into bananas and things like that. So the game does work like flawlessly, right? There's no problems with that. But I think for the average person, it's just not as appealing as they thought it would be. And again, like I think Cyberkongz is a blue chip project and I'm still gonna hold it for long term. I think what they can do to improve the project is like make it more fun for the regular average person, because right now it's kind of a whale game a little bit, where the Genesis Kongs generate 10 bananas a day. There's only 1,000 of them, and then whoever has the most bananas makes the most money in the game. And so if you're like a little small fish, you're like, I don't want to buy bananas because it feels like a gamble. I don't have that much money, and so that's why it's not as friendly to onboard new people. So I think that's why the floor is dropping, but it doesn't mean the floor is going to be there forever. I think Cyberkongz, is kind of revising their strategy and thinking about different ways to onboard new people whether it comes to like branding and getting more people interested in the project, and even like probably changing up their game so it's more interesting for the average person. And to talk about that a little bit, we see that Cyberkongz, partnered up with FaZe Clan to throw a warehouse party in, I think, Los Angeles. So it's like getting all the cool kids to come hang out with Cyberkongz. And if you think about it, FaZe Clan is an innovator when it comes to changing the perspective of gaming into something cool. If, Cyberkongz are able to take all the innovation they're doing and turn it into something that is perceived as cool, that's gonna be very positive for their branding. Honestly, if I was in LA, I would definitely go and like meet all the other of my fellow Kongs as well. And we also see from David Roberts over here that they have this Cyberkongz Fight Club kind of thing going on, and it's like UFC is like getting super popular and hot these days. So it's interesting that Cyberkongz would be involved in this in some way, right? So a lot of branding plays going on with Cyberkongz, and I think they realize that they can't just rely on technical innovation because there's so much competition nowadays, so much big money coming into the space, like Artifact Studios and Nike and stuff like that, who are like geniuses at branding, right? Like Nike, for example, can sell you a shoe that they make for $7 for $200. Why? Because of brand, right? So branding is going to be really important for IP plays moving forward. And even if we look at, let's say like Mizuki, for example, one of the top anime projects, they're doing a garden party with Toki Monster, Wiz Khalifa, Pedro, I don't know this other guy, but maybe he's famous, right? But like Wiz Khalifa, right? Like how much does it cost to get him to come in? Even like Harufu, for example, they did the whole carnival thing and they created all these like crazy things and they spent a lot of money. So it's like, if you really think about it, like these brands are willing to pay hundreds of thousands and maybe millions just for brand to get people to become aware of who they are. And if you think about like these expensive collections, it's not about like direct to response marketing where somebody puts a Facebook ad in front of you, you click it and you buy Cyberkong, right? Like nobody's running ads to like sell something on OpenSea. It's kind of all branding in a sense, and it's like what people are saying when you're not in the room, because like you cannot like trick someone into buying like NFT that costs like 10 Ethereum, right? They have to feel like they trust it, they trust the founders, they hear good things about this project, about their friends. And I think moving forward, I'm personally looking at the people that are extremely great at branding. For example, Nike is like god tier at branding, right? Selling shoes. And also like people who can combine branding with technical innovation. So like who is the Apple of NFTs, right? Like Apple, they have like the best designs when it comes to like product, especially technological product that makes you feel good when you use it. Like look at this, like I'm using a MacBook and like half my team uses MacBooks, right? And it's not by accident, it's by design. And if you think about Apple, like their M1 chips and everything, like extreme technical innovation that's blowing like Intel and AMD out the water if you're into computers, but also the branding side of like, it's just so much cooler and feels so much better to use an Apple product versus like a Windows PC, right? And I have both and I love Mac much more than I do PC. Who is gonna be the Apple of the NFT space? Who's gonna be a Nike of NFT space? And those are the things I am paying attention to. And speaking of branding, we're gonna be talking about Murakami Flowers. So recently they just announced that they are going to have the ability to mint. So if you had a Murakami drip, you're gonna be able to mint some of these flowers. And then also if you don't have the NFT, you are able to enter a raffle, which you potentially can mint. One thing I wanna highlight is that for the Murakami flower, if you are on the whitelist, you can actually mint it for 0.07, which is ridiculously cheap for a fine art project. And then if you win the raffle for the pre-sale, you can mint it for 0.1. So like this guy already has a huge brand, collaborated with Artifact Studios, one of the most influential modern day artists in the world that is living, and he's only charging 0.07 and 0.1. So that's very like opposite of cash grab, right? Because I can see him charging like 1 Ethereum and people will pay it, right? But he's going low and he's, I guess thinking more for the long term and trying to give us much value. So I really, really, really respect the Murakami team for doing that. Now, digging a little deeper on the website, looking at like their mind maps and what the utility is, they're kind of building like a Tamagotchi game for these Murakami flowers. So it's kind of like a mini game you use for your NFTs. There's not too much information about what that will look like, but it's not about these crazy graphics. It's more about like something that's fun, easy, like Tamagotchi. And because Murakami is such a huge artist and they're like, so connected in the NFT space as well as the Web 2 and like fine art kind of space, like utility is kind of endless, right? It could be like going to events. It could be supporting other NFT artists and helping them come up. It could be a DAO that buys NFTs and basically, changes the lives of like up and coming artists. So, it remains to be seen on what it looks like, but like just because of the past success for decades that Murakami have, it's definitely something that I think people will perceive as a long-term blue chip hold. In other news, we have Warner Brothers is launching an NFT with Batman, right? And so I guess it's gonna be like these different Batman helmets. Literally have no idea what the utility is or like how this is going to like relate to like comics and movies and toys that maybe you're gonna be able to buy because you have the NFT. It's on the DCUniverse.com official website. So it has a 200K supply, which is a lot, but it makes sense because like who doesn't know Batman, right? Like literally like millions of people know who Batman is, right? Maybe billion people know who Batman is. 2-year roadmap featuring utility every 52 days. As the story unfolds, Batman will upgrade your cowl with new utility. So maybe it's gonna be like they're gonna create like IP, like movies and like comics or animation series, and then you kind of have the NFT that goes with that. That could be a thing. Exclusive products, exclusive merchandise. Okay, so it's kind of like joining the Batman club, right? So I would think of it like almost like a membership for people who are the hardcore Batman fans, and well, not necessarily hardcore because there's so much supply, right? So it's anyone who's a fan. Okay, different traits over here. So the Batman cowl collection will be integrated into future stories. So like imagine if you had a Batman, mask, and then that mask specifically was in a comic, and you're like, oh my god, like they used my mask, and now my mask is worth like 20 Ethereum, right? So I don't know how it's gonna play, but that's kind of interesting where a regular person can have ownership of something that is related to the actual thing they see on the screen. Products and collectibles, right? Exclusive merch, that's pretty dope, right? Like Carrefour had exclusive merch for Carrefour holders, and actually the commercial was actually pretty sick. So if DC does it, that's pretty cool. So yeah, so I mean, all I'm really seeing is like special access and opportunities to like join different groups and buy more stuff. I mean, like they have 2-year roadmap, right? But I mean, it's like pretty vague to be honest. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that DC is like going hard in the NFT space. It's good to see it bullish overall for the space. How they pull it off remains to be seen, but just the fact that a company like DC would pour so much money and put their name out there and try to do this, yeah, I respect it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow me on Twitter and join the Parallax Discord because we're gonna be dropping an NFT project real soon.